Right now, as you watch this video, missiles are flying across the Middle East. Not in a movie, not in a video game. This is real life. And what is happening today, February the 28th, 2026, may change the world as we know it for years to come. Let me take you through it carefully, because this story is still developing and you deserve to understand every part of it. The United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran as President Donald Trump announced what he called major combat operations. The attacks targeted multiple locations across Iran, including the capital, Tehran, and came amid negotiations over Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. The U.S. Department of Defense later confirmed the mission was named Operation Epic Fury. Israel said its strikes targeted Iran's supreme leader, president, and head of the armed forces. Pause for a moment and think about that. This is not a quiet operation. This is a direct joint military campaign by two of the most powerful militaries in the world against a sovereign nation. And what followed is exactly what many feared. Iran retaliated by targeting United States assets across Gulf Arab states. Iranian officials confirmed attacks in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, where U.S. air bases are hosted. Iran also launched strikes toward Israel and U.S.-linked sites in Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. Within hours, the fire had spread across the region. So what exactly was hit? Missiles were launched toward Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait, Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE, and the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. Explosions were reported in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In northern Iraq, Erbil Airport was reportedly targeted twice, with at least one drone intercepted by air defenses. Here is what makes this even more sobering. Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the UAE did not start this fight. They host American military bases. Because of that, they became targets. Families living near those bases woke up to sirens and explosions. Millions of ordinary people suddenly found themselves on the front line of a conflict they did not choose. An Al Jazeera reporter in Doha said at least a dozen explosions were heard, many believed to be Patriot defense systems intercepting missiles. A CNBC producer in Dubai reported hearing explosions over the city. At least one person was killed in Abu Dhabi after missiles were intercepted, according to state media. Syrian reports said a missile explosion killed 4 people in Sweden. Casualty figures in Iran and Israel remain unclear and could change as information emerges. If this video is helping you make sense of what is happening, take a moment and hit that like button. Share it with someone you care about. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing you the truth as it unfolds. Now, let me explain why this matters even if you live far from the Middle East. Iran is a major oil producer and sits beside the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway through which roughly 20% of the world's oil supply passes. Analysts expect significant volatility in global oil markets. Some predict a sharp war premium that could push crude prices toward $100 per barrel or beyond. That means fuel, food, and transportation costs could rise worldwide. World leaders are reacting quickly. France has called for an urgent UN Security Council meeting, warning of serious consequences for international peace. Oman, which had been mediating between Washington and Tehran, expressed deep concern. Russia criticized the strikes, calling them particularly reprehensible. Norway questioned whether the initial attack met international legal standards. The Gulf states are furious. Qatar condemned what it described as a violation of its sovereignty. Bahrain said a missile targeted the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet headquarters and called it a blatant breach of its security. The UAE temporarily closed its airspace, diverting flights around Dubai. Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and the UAE all enacted temporary airspace closures. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps claimed Israeli and U.S. military targets had been struck and described the operation as the first wave of a broader response. It warned that any nation providing a platform for U.S. or Israeli operations could be considered a legitimate target. Iran's deputy foreign minister said the country has the right to defend itself while expressing regret over humanitarian losses. This is not just governments exchanging fire. This is entire populations caught in between. Just one day earlier, Oman's foreign minister had expressed optimism that peace was within reach after Iran reportedly agreed not to stockpile enriched uranium. Hours later, the strikes began. Negotiations that seemed promising are now effectively collapsed. U.S. officials say the campaign could last several days. President Trump described it as massive and ongoing, warning that American lives may be lost. Analysts fear a drawn-out regional conflict that could involve armed groups across Iraq, Lebanon, and Yemen. If you are still watching, thank you. It means you care, and the world needs more people who care. Please subscribe to this channel, not because I am asking, but because staying informed is one of the most powerful things you can do right now. The International Red Cross warned that the escalation risks triggering a dangerous chain reaction with devastating consequences for civilians. The UAE described the situation as an historic and deeply destabilizing moment for the region. Reports from Iranian state media claim an Israeli strike hit a girls' school in Minab, killing at least 40 people. These claims are still being independently verified, but one truth remains constant. Harm to children is a tragedy beyond politics. As I close this video, remember this: war does not only destroy buildings, it destroys trust, it destroys futures, it shatters ordinary moments. A parent walking a child to school, a shopkeeper opening in the morning, a family sharing dinner. Today, diplomacy failed. Talks were overtaken by fire. But history shows even the worst conflicts eventually return to negotiation. The question is, how much is lost before that happens? So wherever you are tonight, think about the families in Tehran who heard explosions overhead. Think about the people in Bahrain, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi who did not choose this. Think about the American service members stationed far from home. Think about the children. Peace is never easy, but it is always worth pursuing, not with weapons, but with patience, honesty, and the courage to talk even when talking is hard. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay informed, and never stop hoping for a better world.